Welcome to the Daily Allegory through Astrological Divination. Today's video, the Rogue Anomaly, a Chariot's triumph over Thermodynamics. Today we're going to call to Saturn to invoke the following energies. Shamash, the Forgotten Dead, and work energy theorem specifically correlated to the second law of thermodynamics, alongside the key of the crossroads to open up the pathway from any blockages, delays, and obstructions, and honor and remember those whom lived to be lost to cold cases, forgotten archives, and erased evidence, if you will. Basically, people who were taken and targeted for no reason. Well, profit always usually is the MO, but in this video, we're going to remember to past souls who's been long forgotten, taken too early, and in the name of the profane and the directionless. We honor the forgotten, and we ask that they come forth now as we call to empower their imprint of life, to regenerate the evidence which averted implications of the guilty. We recant the very essence of being that God blessed them with at birth when he saith, so you shall live. We will not forget your memory, just your face, but your energy shall forever remain, even if it had been erased in an attempt to forget. And we say this as a prayer. Amen. Now, we had some very interesting energies today popping out. Pluto announcing as a person leading a gang of people, get in your trucks, boys, it's time for a hunt. Instead of derailing people off of the road or following them in groups, we're going to tail the lost souls of those whose hand was forced at the force of the many. And Neptune, the underlying energy of the Neptunian energy today in Saturn, is removing illusions around things like secret death energy, where someone died and it's a guarded secret for some reason. And I got the energy of cousins stealing identities and trying to be slick. Basically, Neptune is going to be prominently displaying these illusions that went on for far too long, and we are going to be illuminating the path to public display. Now, again, instead of my opening prayer, I'm going to be doing an invocation of Saturn, Shamash, the Forgotten Dead, and the key to the crossroads. Now, you will need to work with me here. I am going to be calling on the corners and the directions of the Cardinal Kings, and I am going to be facing different directions, calling upon different energies, and I will be starting by opening this space and clearing the energies. I stand now in place, not a place, at the center of the cross, where time converges and the worlds meet. I cleanse this space with focused intent and serious purpose. I call the powers of structure, light, shadow, and transition to attend me. Invoking Saturn facing the north. By the power of earth and iron, I turn to the north. I call to Saturn, the Ancient of Days, Kronos, the stern taskmaker, Lord of Karma, architect of boundaries, and the builder of foundations, whose rings are the circles of time and discipline. I ask for your enduring wisdom, your strength to endure limitation, and the serious resolve needed for mastery. Bind my will to my highest good and grant me patience. Hail Saturn, King of Mountains, hear my call. Invoking Shamash in the east by the power of fire and light, I turn to the east. I call Shamash, the radiant son of the gods, judge of the heavens and earth, illuminator of all hidden things, whose light shines upon both the wicked and the righteous, bearer of divine law and ultimate truth. Dispel the shadows of my ignorance. Guide my judgment with clarity and righteousness. Ensure that justice and truth prevail in all my endeavors. Hail Shamash, divine judge, shine your light upon my path. Invoking the forgotten dead, the lost souls, in the direction of west. By the power of water and memory, I turn to the west. I call to the forgotten dead, the nameless, the ancestral spirits, without veneration, those who walk the silent path between worlds. You who have seen all that has passed and know the secrets of the veil from here and there. I offer you respect and remembrance now. Lend me your profound, impartial perspective. The silent wisdom gleaned from journeys ended and knowledge unspoken. Hail, ye forgotten, dwell in this space, lend me your wisdom. I call and invoke the keys of the crossroads in the direction of the south. By the power of air and spirit, I turn to the south and the center. I call to the keys of the crossroads, the moment of profound choice, the point of no return. Where Hecate walks, where Legba opens the gate, where fate is determined. This key represents transformation, the access to what is hidden, the power of chaos, the power of choice. I stand at this intersection of Saturn's structure, Shamash's light, and the forgotten dead's wisdom. I am ready to use the key. Hail, crossroads! Open the way for my transformation. All of these energies now converging with the intent and meditation. Within me now, Saturn provide the frame, Shamash provide the light, the dead provide the depth, the key grants access, I am the key. I seek clear guidance on the path forward in my career. I ask for the unanimous support of the duat, the divine, and the lesser to unlock, unleash, and unveil my greatest potential, unquantifiable by human metrics and unobstructed by any form of enemy whatsoever. I ask for my voice to ring in a cadence that awakens the upper echelons to deliver divine justice, implement cosmic order, and impose divine law, and to shake the fabrics of comfort found only in corruption and illusions. Allow this request to ring in the cadence of the sublime, the divine, and the calling contracts well past due. And I ask for the strength and wisdom to enact true justice in my life, and in the life of others, and for those without a voice, for those without a friend, and for those who hath no blood behind them, for the innocent and the loyal, for the blindly faithful and the humanitarian. I thank the ancient Saturn for the discipline provided. I thank the radiant Shamash for the truth revealed. I thank the forgotten dead for the silent counsel. I thank the crossroads for presenting the path forward, and the energies are integrated. The gates are now closed, but the wisdom remains. I go forth with structure, truth, and the key in hand. So mote it be, so it is done. It is now a decree solidified under the moon and the sun. Going into the story. In the quiet town of Hazleton, Elias lived a life bound by the rigorous change of academia. A man whose existence was defined by a Saturn conjunct Neptune in the 9th house. This weighty conjunction manifested spiritual and philosophical truth, yet it was coupled with profound doubt and disillusionment regarding established belief systems. Now, Elias was a professor of theoretical physics. His lecture, a precise if arid exploration of the cosmos. He sought structure with the boundless and the tangible within the ethereal, yet only found the cold, unyielding reality of the second law of thermodynamics, that any isolated systems, entropy and disorder, always increase. The universe, to Elias, was winding down into chaos, a notion that mirrored the amorphous anxiety that gnawed at his very soul. His life was further complicated by a Saturn trine, sensitive degree Lilith in the 12th. This aspect was a double-edged sword. It granted him a hidden strength and discipline in dealing with the subconscious, the marginalized, and the unseen. But it also drove inexorably towards secrets, the forgotten and the suppressed parts of history, and the self. And the self is one of the most imperative parts of any craft. He felt a strange kinship with the forgotten dead. Those whose stories were lost to time, whose names were erased from monuments and memories, but never forgotten by Mayat. Elias often found himself poring over ancient texts in the university archives, drawn to tales of a solar deity named Shamash, who is the son of Enlil. Now, Shamash is the Babylonian god of justice, the sun, and the one who illuminated truth and oversaw the laws of the universe. He oversaw universal law. Shamash was a judge of the living and the dead, a beacon of order in a world of entropy. Elias saw in Shamash the very antithesis of his own belief in a decaying universe, symbol of enduring and illuminating order. One evening, while examining a brittle parchment detailed ancient Mesopotamian burial rites, Elias stumbled upon a reference to the keys of the crossroads. It's not a physical object, but an esoteric symbol, a metaphor for a moment of critical decision where different paths of knowledge and destiny converge. The text hinted that understanding this key could unlock the very secrets related to the transfer of energy and the fate of the forgotten dead. Now, this metaphorical key sparked a very new obsession with Elias. Elias began to apply the work energy theorem, which states that the net work done on an object is equal to and or greater than the change in its kinetic energy to philosophical and metaphysical concepts. He theorized that if energy could be neither created nor destroyed, merely transferred, perhaps the energy of the forgotten dead, their stories, and their very essence wasn't really lost, just transformed into a different unseen state. Perhaps the increasing entropy of the physical world was balanced by an increase in order in an unseen, marginalized realm. Driven by a Saturn-Lilith connection to the unseen, Elias set up a small, unauthorized research station in a disused university observatory. It's like doing an illegal case study on human beings from a tower that's not really supposed to be used or used for something else. We'll just call it a power tower. Now, he started experiments not with physics equipment, but with meditation, historical research, and a disciplined approach to contacting the hidden. He focused on the principle of directed work, attempted to apply the work energy theorem to historical injustices and the forgotten narratives. You know, like past murders, people that disappeared with no explanation, unexplained suicides that just seemed questionable, but the person was isolated prior, so nobody really questioned it. But everybody around seemed to profit immensely. A lot of fraud, if you will. Now, he was trying to do work on the past to change present understandings. A form of omnikinesis, if you will. Quite literally, like what I myself use as the foundation of my current work, which I still plan on doing a video, as I stated many videos ago, explaining each step for each equation, explaining the superposition on the octangular resonance fields to amplify and increase one's resonance field, auric field, as some, unbalanced practitioners might call it. But it is quite literally the angular displacement field of perception through our being or avatar, if you will, for, point of reference, intent purposes, and how to draw on external energies in the morphogenic field and siphon them through pore breathing methods to increase one's knowledge without doing anything really. Now, one night during a thunderstorm, he focused his entire will on a very specific forgotten cemetery at the edge of town, a place for society's outcasts. He called upon the illuminating power of shamash and used his intense focus to visualize the keys of the crossroads basically turning in a lock. The air crackled. The storm outside mirrored the very energy within the observatory. For a fleeting moment, a vision consumed him. He saw the forgotten dead, not as ghosts or spirits, but as brilliant, intricate threads of light and information. Kind of like strings, where string theory might converge in a quantitative aspect, where string theory might come in the perspective of dead people being a theoretical string on the quantum space, where we can pick up on these energies and actually read them as light rays or UV frequencies that can be channeled through meditation or channeling, but it's really a photon and a light ray resonating on a frequency, carrying a memory, kind of like a crystalline memory thing, or how water retains memory, or computers retain memory, or IP addresses retain memory. I digress. He's able to pick up on these past forgotten energies through channeling different frequencies. Now, Their stories weren't lost. They were simply in a state of high entropy within the general noise of history, waiting for focused work to order them. It's like a back order, if you will. Elias realized the key was the conscious application of focused effort being the work, to bring order, which is negating the entropy here, to the forgotten Lilith in the 12th house. His Saturnine discipline had given him the power to structure the Neptunian mists of spiritual uncertainty. He couldn't stop the second law of thermodynamics, it's a natural law of physics in this specific reality, from governing the universe, but he could perhaps create pockets and or loopholes, if you will, of profound order and remembrance. He returned to his lecture a changed man. He began teaching about the forgotten dead, shamash, and about the philosophical crossroads where physics, quite literally, meets and entangles an entanglement theory with spirit. He became the bridge between the structured reality of science and the fluid realm of the unseen, a true magician of the crossroads, using the tools of the universe to bring justice and light to the forgotten corners of existence. And in the second half of my story, pardon me, I had some very interesting energies coming up. Agiel and Zazel, which are the spirit of Saturn and the intelligence of Saturn, which don't normally pop up when I'm doing Saturn readings. But Agiel's light and Zazel's shadow, the Saturnine judgment, came through. That is the title of this. Now, in the North Node, Saturn, Neptunian stellium, and Pisces, we're going to scrub through the waters of the abyss to basically see Agiel and Zazel, the spirit and intelligence of Saturn, expose a fraudulent charity organization and begin to haunt the member of this religious group's nightmares. Now, again, using Hazelton as a point of reference, in the quiet town of Hazelton, the celestial bodies aligned in a rare and potent configuration. The North Node, Saturn, and Neptune formed a powerful stellium in the ethereal, boundary-dissolving sign of Pisces. Astrologers whispered that their transit heralded a time when collective illusions would be shattered by the cold hammer of reality, or Thor's hammer. The focus of the cosmic event centered on the Golden Heart Ministries, is what we're going to call this organization. A seemingly benevolent mega charity that promised clean water to remote villages, but spent millions on lavish retreats for its leaders, kind of like the EPA. Their giant waste of money sometimes. The leaders, Pastor Jeremiah, we'll call him, was a master of Neptunian illusion, weaving tales of miracles and divine purpose, collecting donations with ease. The exposure began not with a whistleblower, but a shift into local energy. A young, tenacious journalist started noticing inconsistencies in the ministry's public financial statements. Things started not to add up. What began as a small, easily dismissed report soon multiplied into a course of doubt in the media. The journalist, now driven by a relentless pursuit of the truth, uncovered a seemingly endless stream of digital breadcrumbs that led directly to offshore accounts and falsified invoices. Concurrently, a growing unease spread through the ministry's inner circle. The weight of their deception began to manifest in their subconscious. Members of the leadership team started experiencing an onslaught of terrifying, very repetitive nightmares. In these dreams, they found themselves trapped in a labyrinth of their own making, the walls closing in. Their faces melting into the same impoverished, thirsty villagers they claimed to help. The grand cathedral of their dreams became a cold, damp cell. The guilt, long repressed, was a given form by their troubled minds. Sleep provided no escape and no solace, only the non-reality of their deception. The North Node in Pisces ensured that this was not merely a scandal, but a karmic necessity. A very painful collective lesson about authenticity and the dangers of blind faith. The pressure from the journalist's methodical exposure mounted, and the mental anguish caused by the nightly visits eroded the leader's resolve. Finally, Pastor Jeremiah, gaunt and sleep-deprived, walked into the police station with boxes of evidence and a full confession. Couldn't take it anymore. Just basically crashed out and went unhinged. The Golden Heart Ministries crumbled overnight. Hazleton was left in the wake of the stellium, wiser but shaken, having witnessed the raw power of structure meeting spirit, real spirit, and reality stripping away the veil of an elaborate fraud. The event served as a stark, if arcane, reminder that even in the most spiritual sign of Pisces, justice is absolutely inevitable. And again, backtracking to my favorite phrase of Mayat in terms of justice, though slow, remains constant. Have a good one. Make good choices, everybody.